Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and start the recording of the event. Go ahead and grab whoever you need to get a hold of to join the Fireside. They should have the link for it in the Coalition comments. Yeah, everyone. Yeah, let's Doma, Vakal. Ganlo, it's nice to see you too, sir. Well, guys, if you are new to the Fireside, just make sure you click on the little hand symbol and you can raise your hand to answer or ask any questions. We're waiting till we have everybody else.
Sorry.
Hey, relax. No, you're fine.
I'm just gonna stay up here in case I have to tell everybody to dog up.
Yeah, no worries, that's fine. I'll just wait for everybody to jump in and move over from servers, and we'll go ahead and get started. Yeah, I see a couple more guys left over in Syndicate. Are they coming over? Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. If we're not getting anybody else from the Syndicate side, or from my side for that matter. Right, so we have delayed this Fireside due to IRL and pushed it back from the other day due to me having some IRL circumstance, which was a grievance in the family. We're going to go ahead and move along and get this started. We shouldn't be here too long. As I said, if you have any questions, either put them into the Fireside Q&A channel, which you'll find above this voice channel on the left-hand side, or alternatively, if you want to speak here, that's fine too. You can go ahead and just raise your hand. I'll be able to see it on the right-hand side and bring you up accordingly. So, there's a couple topics we need to cover. I'm going to go ahead through them one by one. You're welcome to ask questions at any time during me talking. Just if you want to type it, you can type it. If you want to raise your hand, speak, you can raise your hand, speak. Okay, so the first topic here is to do with recruitment and PvP. Now we have on average we're getting in my eyes anyway, we're getting a slightly lower turnout for PvP than I would like. There are guys going on operations and fleets. We have a ally fleet later tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and find out what time that is, but it's to do with a null operation. And that is with our Ally House Raiding Alliance HRA. And that's going to be a lot of fun. So there'll be more information after the Fireside for that one, but look forward to it. It's going to be a blast. It's going to involve a raw call, nullsec, and a whole bunch of fuckery. I'll go ahead and get the times for all that stuff after this. Now, what I wanted to focus on the PvP side of things, we need to get a little bit more green on the KB. Not that it's a necessary thing or anything like that. I'd just like to make sure that the activity that we're showcasing isn't predominantly on the industry side, because the industry side, unfortunately, there's no parameters in the game or externally that shows industry, which is kind of unfair to the industrialists. There should be parameters for that sort of stuff, but unfortunately there isn't. So we're going to have to try and showcase the PvP side a little bit more. So in that regard, go kill things. We are going to be officially moving into low sec, which leads me to my second point. Are there any questions so far before I move on to the second side of the Fireside? Second point of the Fireside, rather, I should say. Nobody? No? Okay. So the second part is to do with where we're living, which is the low-sec area in Halma and Sozan, as well as the anchor pocket which we were originally living in but had to move out of due to war and the bullshit of all of the allies. Now, this is going to be a little bit of news to everybody. So the guys who we've been fighting are non-official / official allies of a coalition. So we've been fighting a coalition without knowing that we're fighting a coalition. Now, the reason I know this information is because I sat down with their coalition leader. And what he's basically gone ahead and told me, his name is Entropy, by the way, if you didn't know that he's a leader of Patchworks, Patchwork Freelancers. So he is allied with the SRS, and SRS, as well as Riot, Rubicon Reloaded, Execution Empire, and Cosmic Accord. From the information that I've gotten from him via our talks, is he is attempting to recruit Rubicon Reloaded, which is an extension of Riot, and he's attempting to also recruit Cosmic Accord, and I believe the SRS as well, into his coalition. He is, I believe, either in the process of getting them into the coalition, or he's at the very least, and this much I can more or less confirm, is that he is blue to effectively all of them. So if war is declared on one of them, you're going to get all of them, which is why we've been seeing such an uptick in fighting from it being just a singular entity to being multiple, which is why we've been against fleets of 130 plus dudes and so on and so forth. Which was the necessity to move to low-sec in the first place, because they don't have the balls to come into low-sec, because we can actually drop bigger toys here, as opposed to fighting in high-sec and being limited. That is that information, hence the need for the move, the full move operation to low-sec. That doesn't necessarily mean we're abandoning the anchor pocket. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going to go back there. What it means is that for the time being, we're going to be focusing on the low-sec side of things, so you're going to have to get used to the low-sec area whilst we rebuild and continue to recruit. Now, what this means is that we're going to redo the grace period, because the grace period has not been graceful, to be quite honest. So I'm going to extend it for another 3 months. But this time, instead of there being no taxation, there will be taxation throughout it. What the taxation will be dependent on whoever your alliance CEOs are. So if they say it's, I don't know, a flat 5% or a flat 10%, then that's up to them. You discuss it with them. I don't decide the taxations. All I decide is that we get a portion of certain things coming towards a coalition, which helps the contribution of minerals, growth, money for SRP, and that sort of stuff. The things we actually need to get going. When these taxations are in place, we've thought about them and everything else. We've gone through the systems. We've spoken to the people who manage the money and whatnot. Then it will begin. It won't be a thing that'll be implemented tomorrow, without notice, without anything like that. And there's not going to be a case of that there's no paper trail that you, the individuals, can follow. So what that means is we'll have taxation come towards, let's, for example, say, towards the end of every month. And then towards the end of the month, let's say you pay 10 mil in taxes or whatever, however much it is, and you pay that off, and those are taxations. And these taxations are specifically to help towards the building of the coalition, whatever that is, be that ISK, mineral ships, yada yada yada, whatever we need to build armory, keep SRP going, and that sort of stuff. This is where all of that comes from. This is how you build an alliance, this is how you build a corporation, this is how you build a coalition, and so on and so forth. One builds the other, it goes hand in hand. Any questions so far before I continue? Remember, if you have any questions, just raise your hand or type in the Fireside Q&A. You're welcome to go ahead and chat there.
I have a comment about it, if that's okay.
Yeah. No, of course, you're welcome.
So there won't be a tax bill per se.
Right.
For the alliance, the corporations will be taxing at 10% for syndicate, and then 5% will be going up for the coalition, and then the 5% will stay for corporation-related expenses and things of that nature. So the corporations will be paying it up to the alliance because there's no there's no in-game function for coalition account management, unfortunately.
No.
But it's not like individuals will have tax bills. It will come out of reprocessing
Precisely.
normal in-game function. So I don't want anybody to worry about having like a tax bill that they have to pay at the end of the month.
Yeah. That's how the taxations work in the game. There's no actually click here, pay money for this sort of thing. The only way anything like that gets implemented is if, for example, we were in nullsec and you were doing null ratting. So in the systems where you'd have like anomalies that you can warp to, same way you can do with like asteroid belts. We have like massive asteroid belt, a Veldspar, whatever, and you'd go then you do your ratting, and you would, let's say, towards the end of a day, make half a bill or a bill, right? So 10% of that would be, let's say you make a bill, so round it up, 10% of that is 100 million. So you would give 100 mil to your corporation. They keep 5%, send 5% to your alliance, and so on and so forth. Something like that would be how the taxation thing that Relance just mentioned, that would be how that would work. But that would be for ratting only. If you're doing mining, it's just automatically taxed through the things that you use anyway, because you're doing the reprocessing, that sort of stuff, so you don't need to worry about it. If there's any additional things to add, that will probably be through coalition level events. So we'll dub a moon, be like, okay, so this is for the coalition. We'll go ahead and mine it. We'll do it on a weekend every week or 2 weeks, or at the end of the month or something like that, and so on and so forth. And the proceeds for that pop, for that specific moon pop, will go towards the coalition. But these are all theories at the moment. Nothing has been finalized. This is just in the air at the moment. Nothing is currently concrete, nothing is tied down, and that sort of stuff. So if you're thinking any of this has been decided, it hasn't. It is purely to do with examples for the time being. We're going to finalize that out as the weeks go, and we'll let you know when it becomes officially enforced, sort of thing. Renee, so you'll tax 15% total, and 33.33% of that goes up to the coalition, or 10%, and then 50% of the collected tax gets passed up the chain. Okay, Relance, I'll leave that to you.
It'll be 10% and 50% goes up to the coalition.
Bounties are automatically taxed, aren't they? Yes, Gano, they are. Bounties are automatically taxed, yes. So like if you're doing a mission in high sec, that'll automatically get taxed. So if you get like a 1 mil bounty, it's 10% of that, so 100k basically. That's effectively how it works. But that'd be the in-game taxation, so you don't sort of worry too much about it. It's purely to do with, rat kills as well. That's correct, yeah. It's to do with in-game stuff. I don't want to enforce any extra bullshit unless it's absolutely necessary to do so, and I don't feel it really is. We're getting along fine. The armory is pretty good. We have doctrines. We need to work on a couple more doctrines, but we'll get there. So that's not too bad. Alright, so to finalize on the low second Enco side of things, Enco will be rebuilding slowly. I need to talk to our ally Sacrament and see what position they're going to go with, because they offered us two options: one, to keep the correct me if I'm wrong here, Relance. One, to keep these structures down for the time being and focus on the low sec side of things, or two, to rebuild them straight away, but it would only be a few Athenors, so there would be some moon pops and high sec going on. I believe those are the two options. I am not privy to either option, to be quite honest, because I feel it's too soon to be going back into things. But I could be wrong. I do know that Riot are currently engaged via Black Flag, and I've been given information that they've also been engaged by Pandemic Horde as well. So they have their hands full. My assumption is that word has gotten around, they've been being scumbags, and they've been engaged on multiple fronts by multiple different entities. I may or may not have had a thing to do with that. I am not going to say. What I am going to say, though, that it is funny and I'm laughing internally.
So the two options that you spoke of actually are going to be whether or not to put production into low sec so that stations like the Gilded Dome would be in low sec rather than in high sec. The Athenors are going to go back up regardless, but the options were to either leave the more expensive stations and the manufacturing slash production stuff either in Palpus or move it to Halma. Because you get much better bonuses for production if you have, in the low sec. So that's what he was deciding on. So I don't think the Athenors will be going up. He is on vacation for I think the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So the
17
Athenors,
months.
it'll be about I'd say a good month before we start seeing them go back up, and that is entirely dependent on if SRS leaves the pocket and whatnot.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Okay, then we don't need to worry about too much. Right. Any questions, comments, or concerns so far till I move on to the next topic? Nope. Okay, fantastic. Right, so the next part is future movements and expansion, which we briefly touched on with the low second anchor side of things. I am looking to bring in multiple other alliances. I've been chatting with them. There's a few things going on in the background that I'm not going to mention right now because I don't believe it's necessary to put it on the Fireside at the moment. What I will say, though, that it's going to be fun, and we are going to see the fruits of that, let's say, around the end of September, predominantly beginning or middle of October. And it's going to be pretty substantial. Expect a lot of good things around that time, is what I'm saying. So that's going to be fun. As for expansion, I believe we haven't gotten any form of feedback from Control V, which is localist primary. Nothing has happened on their side. So I feel that what they're going to do is they don't give a fuck as to what we're doing. So we're just going to go and do what we need to do. If that means moving to Sozan as a permanent base, we'll go ahead and do that. Maybe we'll consider putting a structure down, but I feel it's best we stay ineligible for the time being so we build ourselves up a little bit more and get more and more recruitment done. So if you're a corporate CEO, get on that. If you have corporate ads up already on the forums, fantastic. If you need a little bit of help editing them, maybe I need some memes, maybe doing some videos, speak to Relance or I, and we can go ahead and get started on that sort of stuff. If you don't have already your own corporate memes or coalition level memes, things like that, and anything that builds an identity to your group specifically, then make things like that. People love anything to do with culture, history, and identity. So if you can build something like that for your own corporation or your own alliance, go ahead and do so. It's fantastic. It builds a lot of community. People love getting behind different things, and in-jokes are always fantastic to have. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So that brings me to the final point, which is focus. Focus, focus, focus. So there's been a lot of industrial operations that I've been seeing. I've seen people do a lot of PvP operations. I've held back on the reins quite a bit the last few weeks because I needed a breather. Because we've been doing this war stuff for quite a while. I needed some mental vacation, so to speak, away from different things. So I stepped away for a little bit, and I was quite happy to see that you guys were still extremely active, still doing a lot of industrial things, a lot of PvP things, which is fantastic. I love seeing that stuff at you guys, and I expect to see a little bit more. What I want to say though is I have noticed a few people from leadership, I'm not going to say who, have had a little bit of a slight burnout. Please take it easy, guys. I need all of you, as many as possible. So if you need to take a break, just let me know. The last thing I want is for anybody to be burnt out or feel that they're putting too much time in, not getting enough out. Take a break, take a breather. This is all a process. We're not going to get like capital ready by 2 weeks time or something like that, unless you all become multimillionaires and start throwing fucking injectors at the game. you know so take a breather, relax, do what you need to do, and just focus yourselves, like refocus and reinvigorate yourselves and come back into things and you'll be all good.
I did want to make a comment
Yeah, go ahead.
about a discussion I had with someone along these lines. Anybody can call for activity
Yeah.
in the discords. It doesn't have to be from leadership. If you want to try to get a fleet together to go out to asteroid belts for something, just post it in comments. And and we'll formalize it as we see that people are responding to the post. And we'll put up a fleet ping, through fleet ping general and formalize it, that way. Anybody can call for activity. It does not have to be anyone from leadership. It can be any person that wants to try to do something with a group of people. We saw what happens when we work together yesterday. We got jumped. We got everybody out of there. We lost a couple of cheap ships, one of them due to an accident in gameplay. We wouldn't have lost it otherwise, but everyone got their mining ships out. Everybody got their ores. When we work together, these things in low sec aren't that big of a deal. So if anyone has an idea about something that they want to do, please post for it. You can come to me if you need assistance with formalizing it or any questions about how to do that sort of thing. But I would love to see more and more people calling for activities. So feel free to do so.
And please don't assume that if anybody is a fleet commander like myself or Relance here, or any of the other boys, that you have to be a fleet commander to call a fleet. The whole notion of that sort of thing has been perpetrated specifically by null groups and elitists. And they have a partial point to the need of that. If you need a fleet that requires structure, that requires specific things, then yes, you need a fleet commander. But if all you're doing is just having some fun, doing some mining, you're more than welcome to do so. There is no need for it. Even if you don't need any of that sort of stuff and you just want to go out and fucking kill shit, just ping it. Like, you're more than welcome to do so in Coalition Commons to pink that sort of stuff and go do whatever you need to do. You don't need to be a fleet commander for it. If you want to get specific training to be a fleet commander, then yeah, you're gonna need to get into that role, get into the mindset, understand the different mechanics, the machinations, and that sort of stuff. It's the same way, it's like it's like saying you want to be a doctor and having a little bit of knowledge because you read some books. You don't necessarily need the fucking degree if all you're gonna do is, like, I don't know, put on a plaster or fucking dress a wound or something like that. You don't need a massive background degree for it. But if you're gonna get into the title, the role, and that sort of stuff, then you're gonna need it. But that's different. That's beside the point. So yeah, ping your fleets, do what you need to do. You're more than welcome to go ahead and do different stuff. And yeah, just go ahead and have some fun. Put the pings
You
out
can even
in
call
Coalition
for
Commons. Go ahead,
You
Ray.
can even call for activity that you might yourself not be able to lead but want to be involved in,
Yeah.
and see if, say, hey, can we get this sort of activity going? I would like to participate in, this kind of activity, and I haven't seen any, organized fleets or anything for
For
it.
this or that, yeah.
Yeah, we'll try to put it together for everybody. But the more people that are working together, the more successful we're going to be. As we saw yesterday, and as we're seeing today, right now, most of us are out in low sec mining while we're having this fireside. So working together is definitely making us more successful. So let's do that as much as possible.
Precisely. And don't feel intimidated or put off. If anybody has any specific titles for this, that, and the other, we're all approachable. There's nothing wrong with anybody. Maybe there's a few things wrong with Mouts, but he's kind of weird. Or Dorma, just approach Dorma really carefully. But that is
No big arm movements near Dorma.
no big arm movements. But that aside, feel free to approach. Feel free to ping out your stuff. Go and do what you need to do. If you want to learn about different things, you're welcome to go and learn or ask people for different sorts of stuff. You're welcome to go ahead and try. Fuck you too, Doma. Right, I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn this fireside. Thank you guys for turning up.